Okay, so I've been making content for almost 8 years now, and in that 8 years, there has never been a time where I've wanted to be a creator less, just so I don't have to make this video. But Ben wasn't just my dog. You were there for the whole journey, and you supported me the whole time. I'm so appreciative. And you deserve to know. And I have put off making this video for like 6 weeks. And today's like the last possible day I can make it because I just keep putting it off. It's gonna be messy, so get tissues. I have a toilet paper roll because, you know, we still have no furniture. We literally this morning had no Kleenex, or no toilet paper either, did we?
No. Run a emergency.
So yeah, I was thinking last night in bed, knowing I needed to film it today, and thinking, like, why have I put it off so long? And I realized that it's because this is it. Like, this is the end of the chapter, and I'm never gonna be ready for it to be over, but it is. And that's just what God had planned. Before I get any further, I want to make it very clear that Ben is not dead, thank God, but he's also not mine anymore. So, he's no longer with me, and I'm gonna get into as much as I feel comfortable sharing to protect my own heart and to keep some boundaries for myself. Won't be every detail, but I'm gonna share as much as I feel comfortable with. And I also, before I go any further, want to thank all of you for your patience in giving me time and space over these past 2 months to process and grieve and try to heal. It's very hard to do that publicly. And I've needed space, and I appreciate that you gave that to me because I know it's probably been very hard for all of you waiting and wondering, so I appreciate it. And I want to thank all of my friends, my family, my therapist, my Patreons, everybody at Mira for supporting me and helping me get through this very difficult time. So in April and May, I started noticing some issues with Ben that culminated in like an ear infection. He got an ear infection. And we took him to our vet in BC. And that's when we realized he had lost a lot of weight with no really explained reason for that. And that is when I called Mira and let them know the issues I had been noticing in the previous 2 months, as well as the weight loss that had happened. And together we decided that he needed to go back to Mira for evaluations. We believed it was medical, but there was a chance it was behavioral, and they didn't want me spending a ton of money on vet bills if it wasn't medical. The first week of June, I flew to Montreal and I said goodbye to Ben, not knowing what would come. And that is when I had shared with all of you a few days later that he wouldn't be working for a while because he was sick. I would never make a video like that if it wasn't serious, and I think some people maybe didn't realize how serious it was. I knew at that time his career could be over. If my dog just had the flu for a few days, just know I'll never just tell you guys, oh, he's not gonna be working for a while. I will only ever say that if it's like a very serious, potentially long-term issue. I didn't know what was going on. And the best thing that I could do is continue to live my life. I had my move to this apartment coming, VidCon, some collabs. And whether I sat at home or whether I kept living, he was in Montreal. He wasn't with me. And so I kept living. And I tried not to think about it. And I pretended it wasn't happening because I just had to wait. I had to wait for them to do all of their medical testing and evaluations and determine what the problem was and what the solution was, if there was a solution. I got the call right before VidCon, a few days before VidCon, the day I got hit by a car. And I was told it was probably it, and there was nothing they could do that would allow him to keep working, which was devastating for myself and for everybody at Mira because he's such a talented guide dog. And I want to make it clear that he's so talented. And he was so happy. And he loved his life, didn't he, Mom?
Mm-hmm. Very happy dog. Very loving. So devoted.
He was so good. And he was so proud to wear his harness and to help me. And, but that doesn't matter if he's not meant to be a guide dog. It doesn't matter how talented he was or how much he loved it or how happy he was. And so they told me he was going to live a long life, but he couldn't guide anymore because the issue he had developed would prevent that. And I didn't even cry. I just was in shock. And shock turned into denial. I was in complete denial. When I went to VidCon, I was in complete denial. I think my brain compartmentalized as a way of self-preservation. Like, I didn't cry that whole week. It just wasn't real to me. The only time I cried that whole week was right before my meet and greet because I just didn't want to do it without him. I was so scared. I felt so alone without him. Even though I had all of my fans there, even though I had my mom and a team member, like, I didn't have Ben. I felt so scared. And other than that, though, I didn't cry. And then I got back from VidCon on a Sunday. I woke up Monday morning and I just sobbed. It's like I had gotten through what I needed to do. And I just finally broke down and realized that was it. And at the time I got the call that Ben could no longer be my guide dog, they invited me to class. And I had thought that he had said that there was somebody who had dropped out, but actually there was only 2 people in the class. It was a very empty class. A couple of people had been unwilling to get vaccinated and so could not attend class. And so it was only 2 people getting guide dogs. So there was plenty of space, and it was really hard to decide if I wanted to go. And after talking to my therapist, who is also blind, and talking to close family and doing a lot of self-reflection, I decided to take the opportunity. And so I woke up that Monday after VidCon and I sobbed, and I was leaving just 1 week later to get my new dog. And so I knew that I needed to make the video. I knew that I needed to share this with all of you. I couldn't just show up one day with a new dog, especially because the last thing I want people to think is that I just replaced Ben, because Ben is never going to be replaced. Ben is not replaceable. None of my dogs are. And so all week, every day I'd go, I'm going to make the video today. And I just couldn't. I was just in denial. And I didn't even pack to go to guide dog training until the night before I left. Like, I'm talking like the night before. Because again, I just didn't want to face it. And to be honest, I think I'm still in shock 6 weeks later after getting the news. I think I'm still in shock that all of this has happened. I'm super fortunate that I go to a guide dog school that doesn't pre-match, and therefore you're able to be slotted into any opening. I'm very fortunate that I go to a school that is, a smaller school, so they don't have years and years and years on a wait list. I'm really fortunate, and I know that. But there's also something very challenging about getting a new dog very quickly. I went through it with my transition from Gypsy to Gallop. I had a classmate there with me going through it, getting her dog with a very tight turnover. And it's not easy. I'm grateful we were able to support each other through it, and I'm grateful I had friends like Lucy Edwards and Joy Ross and the girls in my class reminding me that I was doing the right thing. Because I don't know if I could have gotten through it without them. And at the end of the day, while this is a dog, it is also my mobility aid. And I also want to remind everybody that everyone grieves differently. There's no right way to grieve. And for some people, they need years between even just a pet. They need years between breakups. And some people are one relationship to the next. People are one dog to the next. Everyone is different. And I knew that I would be more depressed for longer if I waited. And the next classes they had were full. So this was my one opportunity. Yeah, I had to make that decision. And I was joking with my therapist while I was trying to figure it all out that, you know, the whole best way to get over someone is to get under someone else. There's that whole joke with breakups. And I've never been that girl. Between men, I take years. I'm not a rebound girl. I don't do rebound relationships. But with my dogs, I know my heart heals faster when I have another fluffy friend to love and to support me. And so I'm home with my new dog. And I know that's probably shocking to hear. And of course, I documented the whole journey again. And I'll warn you, it's messy. Even though I did only have Ben for 8 months, I'll be honest and say I've never been more bonded to one of my guide dogs. And I think everybody who saw us could see that. We just had something really special. He was so funny and playful and silly. He was so proud and confident, and by far the most loving and empathetic dog I've ever met in my life. And it's like that saying, I'd rather have loved and lost than never love at all. You know, my dogs are like my children. In fact, they're more like an extension of my own being. Like, we're together 24/7. They literally help me stay safe and see the world. There's nothing like it. And all my dogs are so special to me. And I know this new one will be. But Ben, we just had something almost too good to be true, and I guess it was. When Gypsy died, I never got to say a proper goodbye. And so I made sure to have that with Ben. I did get to reunite with him at Mira and have one more night together. And well, most of that I kept private. I did film some of it, and you will be seeing that in the series, so get ready. That's a real emotional one. And I'm really grateful that I got to have that. And I think another reason I held off on filming this or updating is because for a long time I didn't have all the answers. And so you will see that throughout the series. Like, I'll say, oh, I don't know like where Ben will live or things like that, because at the time I didn't. Or like saying that a spot in the class opened up, but because I thought it was just one spot, but it was actually a very empty class. So you'll see things like that like now I have the answers to, and you're hearing in this video, but like at the time of filming last month, I didn't. So I'm grateful that like I have all the answers, and this really is the final puzzle piece. I don't know, there's a million things I could say. I have so many thoughts, I have way too many feelings, but I don't know, just none of it will ever feel like enough. I also want to say that this is nobody's fault. This isn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. This isn't Mira's fault. This isn't Ben's fault. Unfortunately, these things just happen. And I have so many friends in the guide dog community who have had to let go of their dog due to accident, illness, behavioral issues that develop, the dog choosing that it doesn't want to be a guide dog anymore at any point in the dog's career. And it is the risk you take when you become a guide dog user. The first year is always the most important. The first year is so hard, and I think that's what's so tough is I was almost done. I expected to have Ben for 8 years, and I had him for 8 months. I had gotten through the first 6 months, which are so hard, and I was on to the final 6 to complete that first year, and I just didn't make it, and that sucks. And I'll tell you, it makes getting the next one a lot harder, because my fear, my anxiety that something might happen again is overwhelming, and I'm having to work through that. And I think that maybe God did this so that I can help anybody else who goes through this for whatever reason it happens to them, because I believe that's why I'm here on this earth. I go through really hard things with the strength to share them, because I'm here to help people feel less alone, feel heard and seen and understood, feel valuable, feel valid, feel good enough, feel normal. And if my pain can have that kind of purpose, then it's worth it. And I've learned to trust the universe. Even when I don't understand why all of this happens, I trust I'll be shown why. And I've gone through all the stages of grief, and I'm still in it. And I probably will be for a long time, but that's okay. At that time, I immediately went into shock. I know other people go through this, and I don't want you to feel alone. You're probably wondering where Ben is. Thank God, Ben is back with his puppy raisers, his foster family. That was my dream for him. And they're so kind. And they said I can visit him anytime that I want when I'm in Montreal. And they're gonna keep in touch. And they're allowing me to mail him his favorite things. Yeah, so it's the best possible scenario. And he has 2 friends. They have 2 other dogs. And he gets to play with and love. And I'm just glad he's with people who he knows and who love him. I wish he could be with me, but he can't. He's with the best thing possible for him. This has been an incredibly difficult year for so many reasons. And I really think that Ben was in my life to love me through all the hardships. And he did. And my new dog is here to help me move forward to the next chapter. I know that as hard as getting a new dog so quickly has been, like I said, I not only would have stayed more emotionally broken for longer if I had had to wait till next year, but I also would have struggled with my mobility. I was a cane user for 5 years and a guide dog user for 15. For me, I've been a guide dog user for longer than I wasn't. I mean, I got my first dog at 13 and I've used them for 15. Like it is an extension of myself. My mobility would have suffered. My emotional state would have suffered. My mental health would have suffered. My confidence, my independence, my safety. As a petite blind woman living in big cities, the amount of things that I am willing to do on my own with a dog compared to with a cane cannot be compared. And so I know I made the right decision, as hard as it's been. And I know I'm really privileged to go to a school like Mira, where everybody is so incredibly kind and empathetic, and they're also able to provide dogs to their recipients, you know, to their returning recipients, like pretty quickly, and that's very special. You know, obviously I keep saying grieving, and though Ben hasn't passed away, he's still very much alive. He's not mine, he's not my guide dog, he doesn't live with me, so I've had to grieve that loss in my life, just like I had to grieve my vision loss. Loss comes in all forms. Losing, you know, your relationship is a grieving process. Losing your dream job is a grieving process. I'm grieving the future that I had planned for us, on all the things we could have done. But I have a new friend now, and I'm excited for you to meet them. And yeah, I just don't know what else to say. Thank you for your patience again. Thank you for your understanding. Grief looks different for everyone. Healing looks different for everyone. It's not linear. If this happens to you, you are not alone. And I just want to say a final thank you to Ben for being such an incredible dog. And thank you for being on this journey with us. I wish you had more time to know Ben the way I did, but I'm glad you got to be on this journey with him and I. Now, onto the journey of the next one. Thanks, guys. I love you.